Hey, what do you say? Good morning. It's Monday, September 9. Great to see you this morning. Hope you had a good weekend and are ready to jump in and tackle the big stories of the day here on the Bill Press Show. Welcome to the program, wherever you're joining us here in this great land of ours. This is our morning town hall, where we bring you up to date on all the news of the day from our nation's capital, around the country, around the globe, and of course, give you a chance to comment on what it all means to you. You can do so by giving us a call to our toll-free number, 866-55-PRESS. You can join us on Twitter. Send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show. And for all of our many thousands of friends on Facebook, go to facebook.com/Bill Press Show. It is the full court press indeed on Syria that remains the number one issue. President Obama joining Vice President Biden and 15 Republican senators at the Vice President's house last night to talk Syria. Today, he'll give interviews to all the network news anchors. Tomorrow, he'll be meeting here on the Hill with Democratic senators. Tomorrow night, of course, he gives a speech from the White House. And in the meantime, he'll be making telephone call after telephone call to Republicans and Democrats lining up support. Congress comes back to town today, and they will begin the debate with the first vote on Syria coming in the Senate on Wednesday. And meanwhile, wouldn't you know it, in the middle of all of this important, serious debate about Syria, Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and Mike Lee have scheduled a big event to discuss what? To discuss whether or not we should repeal Obamacare. Give it up. All of that and more, your comments, your calls, all the news of the day right here on the Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat. Did you commit to change the world?
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
Hillary Clinton today at the White House backing a military strike against Syria, the latest heavy hitter. So President Obama is calling on to help make his case. Good morning, everybody. Great to see you. It is the Bill Press Show this Monday morning. This Monday, September 9. So good to have you with us as we come to you live from our nation's capital and our studio right here on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. We'll bring you up to date on the important news of the day from our nation's capital, around the country and around the globe. And not just that, it's a two-way street here on the Bill Press Show. We want to hear from you what it all means to you, what you think we ought to be doing about Syria and other issues, and we make it easier for you on every platform we can, by phone, by Twitter, by Facebook, and delighted to announce today and to join all of you today for the first time on Free Speech TV, coming to you live on DirecTV and on the Dish Network. Welcome to all of our free speech friends, and welcome, of course, to all of our great progressive radio stations around the country. We are there on your local progressive radio station. We are there on Free Speech TV, and you can watch us online as well at youtube.com/ Bill, no, I've got it wrong. TawkrTV.
You got it. You got it.
YouTube.com/ Tawkr, TAWKR TV. So you got lots of ways to join us, however you join us. Good to have you with us today with a lot to talk about. We've got the entire team here in place today. Peter Ogburn and Dan Henning. Hello, guys.
Hey.
Good morning.
Weekend.
Happy Monday.
Congratulations, Peter, for coming in first in the triathlon yesterday here in Washington, D.C. Yes, we were all there cheering you on.
Yeah, it was nice to see everybody. I'm glad you were there to see me finish.
I just want to know, did you complete before sundown?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. Look, if you finished, you won.
That's right.
That's my motto.
Me too, right.
No, it was great. It was a beautiful day out. It was a nice day.
Oh, it was a spectacular day.
And if you ever get...
when I woke up yesterday morning, I rolled over that this would be a great day to go out and do a triathlon.
Yeah. Why not?
And then I rolled over and went back
to bed. If you ever get sort of disenchanted with Washington, D.C., with all the crap that comes out of here sometimes, it is a beautiful city. And they did the bike course to where you just go through... you go by every big monument. You see the Lincoln, the Jefferson, the Washington, Kennedy Center, the Pentagon. You just go through everything. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Meanwhile, traffic is held up for miles and miles around. But
Sorry
anyhow,
about that.
All right. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
We're proud of you.
Thank you.
So what did you do over the weekend, Dan?
I did some work at my volunteer fire department.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
I went out on
Save any foundations?
Nope. No, I cooked eggs. We do a monthly fundraiser, pancake breakfast, second Sunday of every month. Oxford Fire Company,
come on out. When I was a volunteer fireman, that was our motto. We've never lost a foundation. We haven't lost a foundation yet.
It's hard to lose a foundation.
Alicia Cruz is here. She's got the phones covered, Alicia, and Cyprian Boulding has us looking as good as we can on the video cam, on online, and on again Free Speech TV. Yesterday, not yesterday, over the weekend, Friday actually, Janet Napolitano had her last day as Secretary of Homeland Security. She is going off to be head of the University of California system. Lucky her. And lucky us to have had her as the DHS Secretary for the last 5 years. Has done an outstanding job. Vice President Joe Biden was there and said he's got in mind for her something even better in the future.
Advantage of everything she brings to the table. You're a really, really bright lady. Your intellectual capacity equals anyone with whom I've ever worked with.
Clean.
And as you know, when my staff, when I said I was going to say this, said, don't make news.
Oh, come on. He's got to do it anyway.
Well, I'm running.
Yeah.
Look, I told the president when he asked me to do this job, I said on two conditions. One, I'm not wearing any funny hats, and two, I'm not changing my brand. And so he knew what he was getting. But here's the deal. I think Janet should be in the Supreme Court of the United States. And
Supreme Court. I thought he was going to say she ought to be president of the United States. She'd be a great Supreme Court justice.
Sure.
Yeah, she's very, very sharp. Former governor of Arizona, done a great job as Secretary of Homeland Security, and took over that agency at a time when it was still struggling and didn't have any cohesiveness at all under the Bush administration. They could never figure out what it was supposed to do. She made it work. Yes, indeed. Coming up, Joe Cirincione from the Plowshares Fund is going to be joining us to talk Syria. We're going to be talking Syria throughout the program today. Of course, we'll be joined by reporters from Buzzfeed and Politico and National Journal. And you will not believe what they're up to in the state of Iowa. But first,
this is
Dan's got big headlines of the day. What do you say, Dan?
Other headlines making news on this Monday. The Summer Olympics are headed to Tokyo. The International Olympic Committee announcing over the weekend the 2020 Games are going to the capital of Japan because it billed itself as a safe and reliable choice. The city last hosted games in 1964. They beat out Istanbul, Turkey in the final vote.
I was hoping for Istanbul, but the other big news is that wrestling is going to stay as part of the Summer Olympics.
Yeah. So wrestling is back.
Wrestling is back.
It was on the chopping
block. Which it should
there.
be. It was just stupid.
The head referee of yesterday's San Francisco 49ers Green Bay Packers game admitted a major mistake after the game and apologized. Bill Levy said he mistakenly ruled a replay of a third down after offsetting penalties in the second quarter that gave the 49ers an extra down, which they used to score a touchdown. The 49ers won 34-28, which is just 6 points, one touchdown worth. No reaction from the Packers yet to the referees' instant accountability.
Do a replay?
Nothing.
No. I didn't realize that. But last year this happened to the Packers when they had the replacement refs. They screwed them over.
Oh, right.
Remember that image where one ref said touchdown and the other one said incomplete?
Oh, yeah, that was.
And they ended up losing that game?
No, that was embarrassing.
Yeah. Packer fan has a chip on their shoulder.
How can you lose a game because of a ref's error?
It happens all the time in
sports.
It
happens. They make mistakes. They're human.
Baseball games are lost all the time because of referee error.
It's a question if the referee fesses up to it or not.
Huh?
Yeah. And this guy, admitted his mistake, apologized, and it was instant accountability.
Too late.
Right.
Yeah.
But at least there's something.
Got my money back.
It's the end of an era at Volkswagen. Say goodbye to the VW bus. The classic camper van, which has been in production for 56 years, is going into history. New ones have not been seen in the U.S. in a while, and the last remaining factory is in Brazil. Production is stopping there by year's end.
I was going to say, I haven't seen a new one of those.
No. But God, they were great. Oh, great vehicles. And man, the stories about VW buses.
Careful.
Oh, I know.
I think we're going to have an acid
I never owned one, but boy, I've been in many a one. And you know what? They are going to be, I'll bet you, they're going to be collector's items.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Absolutely. When I was at Crossfire, we did a TV spot once before the show, a promotion spot for the show, where Mary Madeline and I got in a VW bus and drove away from CNN, the CNN studios, and I was saying, she was saying something about, no, we have to go up here and turn right. And I said, turn right? I'm not going to turn right. And I put my left blinker on. And it was a whole thing about it. And we were in a VW bus, and it had a peace sign on it,
nice.
the whole thing. Yeah. I don't wonder where that is, man. I'm telling you. All right. Hey, here we go. I got to start off this morning. Yeah, we'll be talking. I know a lot of you want to talk about Syria. We want to talk about Syria, but it's not the only issue out there. You know, this caught my attention. I wanted to start here today. Now, look, you know me. I am, look, I'm a liberal, I'm a progressive, and I'm a Democrat, and I'm proud of it. But I also try to be open-minded about every issue before I make up my mind, and I'm try to see both sides of every issue and respect even people who disagree with me on issues. I mean, that's what I've always done. But sometimes, I mean, you just got to say, give me a freaking break. This is crazy. And I saw this, and this is absolutely crazy. There is no way anybody can defend this, in my humble opinion, which is out in this craziest thing I ever heard of. In the state of Iowa, county by county by county by county, they have 99 counties in Iowa, they are issuing permits to carry a gun in public to people who are legally or completely blind. They can't see and are getting a permit to carry a gun. It's idiotic. I just can't believe it. Now, wait till you hear the excuses they give. The people who are for this, and some of these sheriffs that say, well, you know, it's easy to teach a blind person how to fire a gun. Yeah. Of course it is. You can teach a 3-year-old how to fire a gun. All you got to do is pull that little trigger, point the thing away from you, and pull the trigger. You fired a gun. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, that's crazy. And then the other argument is, well, we can't deny them a gun permit because to do so would violate the... This is so ludicrous. I can't believe it. They say it with a straight face. It would violate the Americans with Disabilities Act. And truthfully, state law does not expressly forbid them from giving somebody a permit despite a physical disability. All right? So they're saying, we've got this American with Disabilities Act. We have to go along with this. They may have a disability. Well, we can't deny them a gun. The hell you can't. I mean, there are counties in Iowa where these people would not qualify for a driver's license. They can't see, and yet they are given a permit to carry a gun. I mean, this is crazy. 866. Somebody try to defend this. 866-55-PRESS, please. I mean, violate the American Disabilities Act. How about violating public safety?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
how about violating common sense?
That is a terrible abuse of the Americans with Disability Act. I mean, that's not using it as a crutch. That is using it as a motorized wheelchair.
And, you know, even, I must say, to their defense, the Braille Institute in Iowa says this is the one exception to our creed that blind people can live a full life, just like everybody else, and participate in all the activities and do everything that people with vision can. You know, but at least they say there's one exception. They should not be carrying a gun. I mean, you're a blind person. You hear somebody coming up on your porch, right? How do you know? It could be the mailman. Could be a neighbor. It could be an intruder. Or it could be a Girl Scout selling cookies, right? Or a teenager selling magazine subscriptions or something for his high school. I mean, it's just insane. Fortunately, not all states follow this. It's on a state-by-state basis. Whoa, in Nebraska and in South Carolina, they require proof of vision before you can get a gun permit. That's sort of, don't you think that would be like where you start?
Yeah.
Hello, proof of vision. Wisconsin, like Iowa, has no restrictions on gun permits.
I aim my gun by smell. I point it and I can smell if it's a bad guy or a good guy.
Yeah. I mean, I just can't believe it. It just shows how some people don't just use their, again, common sense, just good common sense. You shouldn't have to require it. You shouldn't need a law for this. You shouldn't need a court case for this. I mean, this is just hello,
yeah,
right?
Seems open and shut.
It seems to me, right. I mean, Yes, you can teach somebody to pull the trigger, but unless they can see what they're aiming at, what they're firing at, they should not have a gun. I would hope that even the NRA could agree to that. 866-55-PRESS. But out in Iowa, they're still issuing permits. People with guns. Tell us what you think about this. Let's talk about it here on the Bill Press Show. Monday morning, 866-55-PRESS is the toll-free number. Guns for the blind? No way.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
is the Bill Press Show.
At 25 minutes after the hour, it is the Bill Press Show here on a Monday, September 9. Hello. By the way, so we're talking about out in the state of Iowa, not just Iowa, state of Wisconsin as well. They're issuing, but particularly Iowa, issuing gun permits to people who are legally blind. Yeah, they certainly are blind enough they could never qualify for a driver's license, but by the same stretch, by the way, right? By the same logic, right? They should be given a driver's license.
Sure.
Because that would violate the Americans with Disabilities Act too, right?
Yeah, if you're using the same criteria, yeah.
No, absolutely. At any rate, that's happening out in the state of Iowa. Any way you can defend this, Peter? We got comments there?
Yes, indeed. We have comments on Twitter. First, on Twitter, at BP Show. First of all, a couple of comments for people who are watching us on Free Speech TV. Some old friends that haven't been able to watch in a while.
Yeah,
Margaret Colvin, good morning. And Astasia, good morning. Also, on this issue of the blind people with guns, Robbie Bright says, sounds like the Braille Institute needs to kick off a member campaign to get driver's licenses for all and make the NRA respond. Karen asks, what's next? Guns for pets?
Oh, there you go.
Why not?
Yeah.
And Margaret says, can you imagine a blind person walking into a Walmart and asking for bullets, and would they sell them to them?
Walmart? Damn right they would.
Yeah, the Walmart would, of course.
Yeah, right.
By the way, I just got this comment in from Astasia. Her husband is legally blind, and she definitely does not want him armed. Iowa is wrong on guns and right on same-sex marriage. Go figure.
So I did mention the Institute of the Braille, or the Braille Institute in Iowa, which says, no, this is crazy. They're not pushing for this. But the National Federation of the Blind has put out a statement saying, quote, there is no reason solely on the basis of blindness that a blind person should not be allowed to carry a weapon. BS. Presumably, they're going to have enough sense not to use a weapon in a situation where they would endanger other people, just like we would expect other people to have that common sense. Oh, yeah? Where have they been lately, huh? Here's Mark from Austin, Texas. Mark, what do you say?
Bill.
Yes.
You need to know a lot about what constitutes blindness. The difference between legally blind and totally blind, there's quite a range.
They're giving both gun permits in Iowa, Mark.
I understand.
These are people who don't qualify for a driver's license.
Blind. And people who don't qualify for driver's licenses are not necessarily legally blind.
But they're getting gun permits in Iowa and in Wisconsin. They should not be allowed to have a gun.
I understand that.
Well, then what's the point? The point is, thank you, Mark, for the call. The point is, use some common sense and forget the Americans with Disabilities Act in this one particular case. When we come back, what should we do about Syria? Let you and I vote on it. 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
This is it. President Obama calling on Congress to debate and to vote on authorization for a military strike against Syria for its use of chemical weapons. And Congress comes back to town today to jump right into that topic. The president, of course, putting on his full court press. He had dinner last night at the vice president's home with 12 or 15 Republican senators. He will be on Capitol Hill tomorrow to meet with Democratic senators here on the Hill. He's coming up to Capitol Hill to meet with them. Today, Monday, he will be granting interviews to Diane Sawyer and Brian Williams and Wolf Blitzer, Scott Pelley, and Gwen Eiffel from PBS, anchors of all the evening news programs. I forget who from Chris Wallace from Fox will be conducting that interview. And then tomorrow night, of course, the president will address the nation, and the debate and the vote starts this week. Harry Reid has scheduled a debate in the Senate on whether or not to open debate. You know, they have to do the old filibuster cloture thing as early as Wednesday. So what do you think? Should we go or not? 866-55-PRESS is the toll-free number. You know, this is not an easy issue. The use of force is never. I salute the president for throwing this issue to Congress, because under the Constitution and the War Powers Act, Congress legally is the only one that can make this decision. But again, it's not an easy decision. There are legitimate reasons for opposing any military strike in Syria. We've seen that such strikes in the past, like against Kosovo, against Iraq even, haven't really worked. We know there are most likely going to be civilian casualties. We know that there's alternatives, diplomatic action or economic sanctions that might work as just as well, if not better. And we also know that a crazy guy like Bashar al-Assad could do something in response to a military strike, which would make things even worse, lob some missiles against Israel or Turkey, or somehow drag us into that already 2-year-old civil war in Syria. So legitimate reasons for opposing, also legitimate reasons, I believe, for supporting. I mean, we have since 1925, everybody, by the way, nobody doubts. Anybody who's seen the evidence, all the members of Congress and senators that we've talked to, everybody believes chemical weapons were used and the Syrian regime are the ones who use them. You got to start with the facts here. There were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. There are weapons of mass destruction in Syria, and they've been used by its government against its people. So that's a fact. And if the use of chemical weapons has been condemned since 1925. 189 nations have signed a convention against it, banning their production and use, and calling for whoever violates that to be held responsible. I got to tell you, I'm not a hawk, but I did something over the weekend that I encourage you to do. I think if you have any doubts about where you ought to stand on this issue, go to the Senate Intelligence Committee website. At that website, they've got posted 13 videos of the people who've been attacked, who've been hit by chemical weapons, and the video of them at these medical centers or hospitals or clinics as they come in. And you watch those videos, particularly those little kids. I got to tell you, I cried watching particularly this one little boy in a red shirt, just convulsing and knowing, what was happening to him because of these chemical weapons. And what I compare it to, when I saw the photos of those 20 little kids who were mowed down at Newtown, Connecticut with an assault weapon, I joined the ranks of those who are saying, we have to do something about this. We have to prevent this in the future. We have to ban assault weapons. And shame on the United States Congress for doing nothing about it in response to Newtown, Connecticut. And when I saw the videos of those little kids, and you've seen those 400 children wrapped in white shrouds who were killed, not with any bullets or nothing, just with these chemical weapons. And shame on us if we see those videos, I believe, and don't do anything about it and let that stand and let Bashar al-Assad get away with it. Because if we do, he'll just do the same thing over and over and over again. I think this is a moral outrage that we must respond to. And I say that somewhat regretfully, because I think too often we jump into the use of force like Iraq, like Afghanistan, when we shouldn't. I think this is one case where we should. But whatever. That's the debate this week. I just hope that members of Congress, what we count on them. And here's the other thing, about this gang. This is a gang that hasn't been able to get anything done for the last 3 years. They haven't been able to do anything. They can't get a budget. They can't decide to pay their bills. They haven't done anything about immigration reform or gun safety, or they can't even pass a damn farm bill. And we expect them to take up this issue and have an informed debate and make an intelligent decision. That is asking a lot. But they've got it. They want to debate, and now they've got it. And one would just hope that they stick to the facts and the merits of the case. And what drives me crazy are these Republicans now who were so hawkish, big hawks on Iraq when there were no weapons of mass destruction, like John Bolton and Donald Rumsfeld and Rick Santorum, but now they're suddenly doves on Syria because where there are, in fact, weapons of mass destruction. And you know the difference? The difference is because they hate Obama and they want Obama to look bad. Now, if George Bush were in the White House, they would be out there leading the charge for a military strike. So you got to ignore those voices. Again, we'll see how it comes down. Peter, comments?
Yes, indeed. We are on Twitter at BP Show. Rob Teed says, "We did nothing about Newtown. It was our job to do something. Syria is a Russian issue. It's their shame, not ours."
Yeah. Well, but you see there again. So we did nothing about Newtown, which was a disgrace, in my opinion. So therefore, we do nothing about Syria. That makes it right.
Right.
Yeah, that's not logic. Syria is not a Russian issue. The use of chemical weapons, 189 nations. I believe that Russia has even Russia has signed this convention.
There's a new poll
double check that
by CNN that just came out about half an hour ago. So it sort of polled whether or not Americans think that Congress should authorize military action in Syria. Their numbers are that nearly 6 in 10 Americans think Congress should not authorize limited military action in Syria. 7 in 10 say that airstrikes against Syria would not achieve any significant goals for the U.S., and that the U.S. doesn't have any national interest in Syria.
Again, I think President Obama has made the case. We do. It's not an attack on the soil of the United States, but it is something we have said that we do stand up against, and that is the use of chemical weapons and have since 1925. Look, by the way, there is. I'm surprised that at 6 in 10. I'm surprised it's not higher.
Right. No, I agree.
To tell the truth, given that all the media has been negative about any military strike so far. And the president certainly has a big job tomorrow to convince the American people.
Do you think? Let me ask you this: do you think he can do that with his speech from the Oval Office? Do you think that he can sway the American people and make the case?
Yeah, I do. I do. If anybody can, if anybody can, he can. But you know, what he's dealing with, a lot of this is it's war fatigue, it's war weariness, caused by the fact that for the last 10 years, we're paying the price of an administration, the Bush administration, that just rushed into war in Afghanistan and war in Iraq, particularly the war in Iraq, and based on a total fabrication, based on a whole pack of lies. And the American people feel that they were had then, they were suckered in then, and they don't want to be suckered in again. So we don't know how this vote is going to go, but if Congress votes this down, and if Bashar al-Assad gets away with the use of chemical weapons, we can thank George W. Bush and Donald Rumsfeld and Condi Rice and Dick Cheney and Colin Powell. When we come back, Matt Vasilogambros from the National Journal joins us on the news of the day here on the Bill Press Show this Monday morning.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look! Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. you'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Get social with Bill Press. Like us at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
13 minutes before the top of the hour. And by the way, on Syria, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is coming to the White House today. She was supposed to come in there to talk about environmental conservation or some other issue. That's been scheduled for a long time. She is expected, however, while she's there, to meet with reporters or somehow make a statement about a military strike on Syria and the importance of doing so. She fully supports it, and the president expected to make that opportunity available for her today. Matt Vasilogambros is policy writer at the National Journal, who's been writing a lot about what the president might say to the nation tomorrow night, joining us on our newsline this morning. Hey, Matt, how are you?
Hey, good morning. How are you?
So the president certainly got a big challenge tomorrow night. What are the plans? It's 9 p.m., right, Eastern?
That's correct.
And do we know where in the White House?
I'm not sure that we know yet. He might try to do the East Room where he did the Osama bin Laden announcement. I seem to think that might be one of his...
The cross hall, whatever as they call it,
exactly.
When he walks up right to the entrance of the to the East Room.
Show strength, yeah.
Right. For some reason, he doesn't like the Oval Office desk, huh? Which is...
I mean, it's a very historic desk, but I mean that's also the desk where George W. Bush announced that we're going to strike Baghdad. I don't know if he wants to have that sort of memory looming for the American people, but who knows?
Yeah,
those optics might be a little bad, as they say.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, they'll figure that out. The most important thing is, what is he likely to say that can change the minds of the American people, or enough of them anyhow, and particularly the members of Congress?
See, that's what I've been struggling with. I don't think that there's going to be a terribly new message here. I mean, we saw Dennis McDonough yesterday on the Sunday talk shows. President Obama has been out there, whether it was talking at the G20 summit or with his weekly speech to the American people during the weekend. I mean, what he's going to do is he's going to repeat his same lines, is that this is not just about Syria. It's about international norms. You know, he had that famous line last week at the press conference. He said, "I did not set this red line, the world set this red line." So, I mean, it's a lot about international norms. It's about the amount of people who died. Specifically, he's going to mention the children who died, over 400 children. And he's also, like we just talked about with Iraq, he's going to try to sell a military engagement, not a war, but a military engagement to a war-weary public. And, I know that a lot of folks probably, and he knows this, a lot of folks think that any sort of military engagement, whether it's just a military strike or otherwise, is a war.
Right.
And he's going to try to say that this is not a war, it's limited. But I think that you see that a lot of lawmakers are going home and talking to constituents, and they don't believe that it's just a limited military strike, you know.
Well, 2 points that I know he's been going out of his way to make. Well, one of them is, and you just alluded to it, is that this is not Iraq, right? They want to be clear. This is, again, not a war, and this is not a case where we were told there were weapons of mass destruction and there really weren't any. This is a case where they definitely got them and they've used them, right?
Right, and I think you heard John Kerry last week talk about how he says the administration has made a special effort to declassify as much information as possible. So they want to say that, I think in the president's own words, that we are not going to, the American people aren't going to be hoodwinked into a stupid war, a false war. They're not going to be lied to going into conflict. So I think that's one of the big points.
Well, the twist that I thought Dennis McDonough came up with yesterday, and I would expect the president would again tomorrow, is linking this to Iran and to Iran's the possibility that Iran's nuclear buildup, and that if we don't respond to Syria, then Iran will be emboldened even further to go ahead because they believe they can do so without impunity to develop a nuclear weapon.
Well, absolutely. I mean, he's sending the message that, or the president's going to make the argument that if we don't react to Syria using these weapons, he said, what kind of message does that send to other countries like Iran or North Korea, who have the nuclear capabilities, who might want to fire a weapon and see, will the United States react to this? And he says it also sends a message to terror groups like Hezbollah or Al-Nusra to say, like, what's stopping you from, or what's stopping them from going after these weapons and potentially using them? It's basically about saving face and sending a message to these groups that you can't use these weapons and get away with it. So, I mean, that's the argument that they're trying to make. Obviously, several lawmakers on the Hill aren't buying that argument just because they think it might be a little, too late type of thing. But obviously, the administration feels strongly about this.
Yeah, and that, again, the president scheduling this primetime address to the nation tomorrow evening, and then the Senate actually votes on Wednesday. Very exciting week, very important week. Hey, Matt, thanks for your good work. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me on.
Matt Vasilogambros from the National Journal. It's nationaljournal.com.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look, your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees. major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
This is the Bill Press Show.
3 minutes before the top of the hour, Joe Cirincione from the Plowshares Fund, our own foreign policy guru, joins us in studio in the next hour. Here is, on Syria, Andy calling from Wilmington, Delaware. Hey, Andy, how you doing?
Good morning, Bill. I do not support the strikes on Syria. Here's why. Syria is killing human beings literally the way we would kill bugs in our basement, okay? And if the rest of the world is not outraged enough to want to put an end to this, us taking a unilateral action is just going to be, it'll focus us as equally the bad guys along with the Syrians. And, you know, this is the world we've made, Bill. People don't give a rat's ass about the person next to them unless the issue affects them themselves. And that's just the way it is right now.
Well, I'm not denying that's the way it is right now on the part of a lot of people. Do we just accept it, or do we still try to do the right thing? By the way, President Obama's lined up more countries in support of this than people give him credit for.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look, your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Hey, what do you say? Good morning. It's Monday, September 9. Great to see you this morning. Hope you had a good weekend and are ready to jump in and tackle the big stories of the day here on the Bill Press Show. Welcome to the program, wherever you're joining us here in this great land of ours. This is our morning town hall, where we bring you up to date on all the news of the day from our nation's capital, around the country, around the globe, and of course, give you a chance to comment on what it all means to you. You can do so by giving us a call to our toll-free number, 866-55-PRESS. You can join us on Twitter. Send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show. And for all of our many, 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 many thousands of friends on Facebook, go to facebook.com/Bill Press Show. It is the full court press indeed on Syria that remains the number one issue. President Obama joining Vice President Biden and 15 Republican senators at the Vice President's house last night to talk Syria. Today, he'll give interviews to all the network news anchors. Tomorrow, he'll be meeting here on the Hill with Democratic senators. Tomorrow night, of course, he gives a speech from the White House. In the meantime, he'll be making telephone call after telephone call to Republicans and Democrats lining up support. Congress comes back to town today, and they will begin the debate with the first vote on Syria coming in the Senate on Wednesday. And meanwhile, wouldn't you know it, in the middle of all of this important, serious debate about Syria, Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and Mike Lee have scheduled a big event to discuss what? To discuss whether or not we should repeal Obamacare. Give it up. All of that and more, your comments, your calls, all the news of the day right here on the Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look! Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Did you commit to change the world?
On your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
Today at the White House, President Obama expected to roll out another big supporter for a military strike on Syria. Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State. They're bringing in the heavy hitters, folks. Good morning. Good morning. What do you say? Great to see you today. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to the Bill Press Show right here on this Monday morning, September 9. We are booming out to you live from our studio on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., just down the street from the United States Capitol building, in the shadow of the Capitol Dome, as we like to say. And we are coming out to you on your local progressive talk radio station. Great to be with you today, anywhere in this great land of ours. We're also coming to you on, for the first time today, on Free Speech TV. It's a great, great channel. It's been around for a long time. It's great people, Tom Hartman, Amy Goodman, and others on Free Speech TV. And we are so pleased and so proud now to be part of the Free Speech lineup on DirecTV and on the Dish Network. Good to see all of you coast to coast on Free Speech TV. And for those of you who don't have the radio nearby or don't have the TV nearby, it's easier on the computer. We're there, too, for you at youtube.com/TawkrTV. Tawker, Tawkr TV. So here we are. You're listening or you're watching, whatever. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the program. Lots to talk about. Of course, Syria is dominating the news today, with Congress coming back in town to pick up the challenge thrown to them last week by President Obama, up to Congress this week to debate the issue of whether or not to authorize a military strike against Syria. No issue is more important to Congress than a decision about the use of military force. They will debate it. They will vote this week. And the president is pulling on all the pressure that he can, pulling out all the stops every day in every way to get enough votes to authorize this military strike. We'll be talking about that throughout the program here with you and with our team. Remember, we want to hear from you. Your opinions, your comments are as important as anything that I or any of our guests have to say. And you can join us by phone at 866-55-PRESS. That's our toll-free number. You can send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/BillPressShow. Join the team, Peter Ogburn and Dan Henning. Hello, guys.
Hey, hey, hey.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope you had a good weekend.
Happy Monday.
You were out there with the triathlon this weekend.
Nation's Triathlon.
Showing the rest of us up.
Well, I mean.
What does that Potomac River water taste like?
Well, let me tell you something. It's
because you must have gotten a couple of mouthfuls of it.
You do swallow.
Yeah.
I mean, make no mistake, you will swallow some of the Potomac River when you get in the
Well, it's like any time you're swimming, like
you swallow some.
Yeah.
You know, they do. I'll say this. I ran along the Potomac River last week before the race.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it and I was going, oh, my God. this looks horrible. But they spend all weekend cleaning it up. They drag it. They get all the stuff out. It's very nice. It's very clean. They do it the morning of the race. It was surprisingly pleasant. And the water was a perfect temperature. It was just about 80 degrees in the water, which surprised me. We thought it was going to be cool. We all came with wetsuits ready, but it was too hot for a wetsuit. Too warm for a wetsuit.
All right. Well, congratulations for making it. Dan Henning. Alicia Cruz has the phones covered. Hi, Alicia. And Cyprian Balding. He's the reason we're looking so good on the video cam this morning.
There he is.
There it is. He's got it. By the way, he's back. As if late night wasn't crowded enough already.
Right.
Kind of funny. Guess who's back? Arsenio Hall. It's been 20 years since he was at late night?
He went off the air in 1994. He was on the air from 89 to 94, I believe.
Really?
So I was really young. I did not watch him.
Yeah,
that was before my late night.
I just
TV
figured
days.
that was done, man. But no, he's the comeback kid, and he says last night he's got to be back, and he doesn't worry about the competition. He's just going to do his thing.
People are going to choose the guy they like, and the way he does things, and the way he interviews. And I don't think there's anything you can do to battle the other guys. You do what you do the best you can, and people decide whether they want to go to bed with you that night. It's kind of like a club.
And you get the President of the United States on to play the saxophone.
Right.
Yes,
exactly.
That's the only thing he's actually known for?
Pretty much.
Only thing I can remember or ever heard about his show. Yeah. But he's a good guy. I mean, I remember.
Look,
Sure.
It's a lot of nostalgia, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how well he's going to do on this show.
Hey, they're bringing Crossfire back.
Exactly.
Starts tonight, so they're bringing Arsenio Hall back. All right, there you go. And I'm still here. Joe Cirincione from the Plowshares Fund joining us a little bit later. Plus, we'll be going to be talking top of this hour with Josh Gerstein from Politico. But first...
This is the Full Court Press.
Other headlines making news on this Monday. Skeptics are questioning Diana Nyad's record swim across the Florida Strait last week. Endurance swimmers, part of an online forum called Marathon Swimmers, are suggesting she must have had help from a boat because there is one 7-hour stretch of her 53-hour swim where GPS figures show she doubled her average swim speed from 1.5 miles per hour to 3 miles per hour. One of the swim's official observers was quick to tell the Associated Press yesterday that Nyad did not cheat.
So what do they think she did? Like held on to the back of the boat and
get towed? Yeah,
sort of like water skiing or something.
Apparently,
I don't believe it.
Well, I mean,
I don't believe it. I believe her.
I buy it. I totally buy it. She's tried this several times before. And her times only got slower as she got older. So the fact that she all of a sudden magically found the power to
She would not cheat like that. She wouldn't do it. She knew she'd get caught if she did that.
Well, she might be getting caught. A royal screw-up by British police over the weekend. Prince Andrew, second son of Queen Elizabeth and fifth in line to the throne, was stopped and ordered to the ground with his hands up on the grounds of Buckingham Palace. For some reason, the officer in charge did not recognize the prince, demanded to see his ID. This came a couple of days after someone broke into the grounds and was arrested, so police have been on edge. They were quick to apologize after they realized who it was. The prince did accept the apology.
Can I see your ID?
You would think.
They'd recognize members of the royal family.
Yeah, you would think.
And in sports, Serena Williams won her 5th U.S. Open title yesterday, defeating Victoria Azarenka in a long, tough match, 7-5, 6-8, 6-1. It's her 17th Grand Slam title, which is now just one shy of the record 18 wins by Chris Evert and Martina Navratilova. This afternoon's men's final features Rafael Nadal versus Novak Djokovic, meeting in the U.S. Open final for the 3rd time in the last 4 years.
Yeah, I watched some of that game yesterday.
She is such a freak.
She's
she
amazing.
Is so scary good.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, with all the flap over Syria, I mentioned this last week on the program. One name we haven't heard in a long time? Edward Snowden. But, there is still, we'll get back to Syria later in this hour with Joe Cirincione, but there's still more and more information that comes out about NSA thanks to this, to all the material and the documents that Edward Snowden released to The Guardian and to the Washington Post and some to the New York Times now, I believe. Josh Gerstein of Politico has been reporting on this and joining us on our newsline this morning. Hey, Josh, how are you?
Hi, Bill. How are you?
Hey, good to have you with us. So first of all, it seems every day we turn around, there's another story about yet more of what NSA is up to. Is this all part of the original Snowden dump, or is he still releasing stuff?
I think that there's been a huge trove of information that's been turned over. I think the folks at The Guardian and The Times and ProPublica, who were onto some of the latest information, talked about something on the order of 50,000 documents that he may have taken. And so if there's really that much, let's assume 80% of them have no news value whatsoever.
Yeah.
You can still expect a pretty steady spigot flow here of stories for sort of the indefinite future. And it does seem like there's a lot of nuggets here to be mined. It must be driving the people at the NSA and when they're not preoccupied with the Syria situation, the people at the White House sort of out of their minds at this point, I would think.
Right. So there's original information about monitoring, or the what was that phrase, the mega data or whatever it was, about every phone call made in the United States, right?
Right.
But now since then, like just recently, we've learned about they were spying on the president of Brazil.
Right. There's been that has come out. There's been indications of economic espionage, in addition to the terrorism focus that they claim that the NSA has been focused on. And there's been these sort of tantalizing hints about what exactly do they do with information about Americans. Apparently, sometime in 2009, they stopped sort of searching stuff that they had accidentally collected on Americans for certain kinds of information. And in 2011, the Obama administration reversed course and got some kind of permission from the FISA court and again started searching through that U.S. person type information in order to pursue, I guess, terrorism cases or whatever. But
not just terrorism cases. Haven't we heard also that the Drug Enforcement Agency is using some of this kind of surveillance, and even the IRS?
Right. So there's a different, I don't think it's the actual NSA database, but there was another story indicating that the DEA has access on short notice to some type of AT&T database, that there are AT&T personnel who work for the government around the country and can, on a moment's notice, basically produce the same kinds of, tracing data and sort of networking data that can tell you, who are the 10 people you talk to most on the telephone and who are the 10 people they talk to most on the telephone. That is done with a warrant, as I understand it, whereas some of this other work is done with no specific warrant for a specific criminal case. But those warrants, I think, are very easy for them to get. I think, in fact, the DEA, because of probably some overbroad laws passed a couple decades ago, can issue that warrant itself. So much for that.
Now, you mentioned the FISA court. That's the other story that we've seen in the last couple of weeks, which is, I think it was the lead judge on the FISA court said there are thousands of times when they have told NSA, you've abused your authority, right? And that they at FISA don't really have the expertise to know, they have to depend on NSA to tell them when they screwed up.
Yeah, that's right. The head of the FISA court did come out and say that, and a number of other people have come forward with these proposals that the president endorsed in mid-August to put some kind of privacy advocate or somebody there at the FISA court to try to make sure that side of that point of view, or some kind of advocacy, what would you call it, sort of contentious advocacy takes place in this sort of adversarial system we're supposed to have in the courts. With all this litigation going on that isn't adversarial, you have just one side making its case and the judges trying to muddle through. Right. The judges being pretty candid that they are muddling through and they don't think they may always be getting it right.
So do you think if we ever get Syria behind us, right, that there will be any congressional action to sort of rein in or limit NSA's operation?
I think there probably will be some attempt to do that. I think that in the end it will get watered down pretty substantially, probably by the time anything actually makes it to the president's desk. But I do think there's a fair amount of concern, anger, worry, whatever you want to call it, about this. on both sides of the political spectrum, that it does have sort of a bit of an everyman resonance, much as every man seems to be concerned about us going into Syria. Every man seems to feel that maybe the government shouldn't be doing quite as much of the intrusive snooping that at least people perceive the government to be doing. So I actually do think you're going to see sort of a common cause between conservative Republicans and liberal Democrats to revisit some of these issues. And you know, even some of the not that conservative Republicans are up in arms. Jim Sensenbrenner, who is not, I think, a hardcore right-wing ideologue, and in fact helped write the Patriot Act, under President Bush, has said he feels he was had, and that people are doing things that he explicitly thought that they had prohibited. So I think you're going to see some movement.
What's that, Section 950? Is that the one that they keep referring to of the Patriot Act? But we haven't talked about it for a while. I just forget the exact...
right.
But anyhow, I thought it was very significant when Sensenbrenner said, no, don't quote that as giving you authorization for what you're up to. He said, I wrote the act. That's not what it says.
Right.
And that was a very, very strong voice there indeed. Well, it's a hugely important issue. I hope it doesn't go away. And thanks to you, Josh, and others, I don't think it is going to go away. Good to have you with us this morning.
Okay, Bill, take care.
Great. Josh Gerstein, reporter for Politico at Politico.com.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat?
Like politics? Then like The Bill Press Show on Facebook. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, 25 minutes after the hour. Happy Monday, September 9. Can you believe it? Big week with Congress coming back and accepting President Obama's challenge to debate the issue of a possible military strike against Syria for its use of chemical weapons, and then either authorizing or not authorizing a strike. We got lots of phone calls on that. Joe Cirincione from the Plowshares Fund joins us here in studio in the next segment to talk about it. Let's go right to the phones. Laura calling from Sebring, Florida, and watching on Free Speech TV. Hi, Laura.
Hi.
Good morning.
I'm so glad to see you this morning.
Well, thank you. Good to see you.
I just am sick over this. I mean, I saw all the videos with the kids.
Oh, God, so did I. I watched them last night. Couldn't believe it.
Oh, it's just big. I have 8 grandchildren. I'm thinking,
what should we do, Laura?
oh, God. I mean, I'd hate to be in the president's shoes because this man needs to go, but he's got to have backing from everybody else. We can't go in alone. We need help to get him out. And I don't think missiles are going to do it. I think we should get in there like we got Bin Laden out, you know? Go in there and on a secret mission and get him out of there. But it just, I just don't know what to do. I mean, but he can't keep doing this.
You mean Bashar al-Assad can't keep doing this?
No, he can't keep killing these innocent people.
That's the thing. I think some response is definitely necessary, and the missile strike may not be the best. I think it's the best option we've got. Elizabeth, hey, thanks, Laura. So good to hear from you. Tell all your friends. Join us. Elizabeth is in Sheboygan, Michigan. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Nice to hear from you.
Yeah, I had some comments to make about this ill-conceived strike on Syria. There's things that they're not talking about that need to be addressed. Number one, Iran has clearly said that they're going to burn American cities if we do any kind of strike on Syria. Now, even though you might say, well, this is just propaganda and rhetoric, I think we need to take it seriously because we've let them gain so much time on developing their nuclear weapons program. They probably already have one by now. We don't know, but we should be careful.
Well, I don't know what you base that on. From all the intelligence, they do not yet have a nuclear weapon. Do you really think that they have a nuclear weapon they could hit the United States with?
That's part of what I do for a living. And
what?
If they have not finished it, they're really close to being finished. So I'm not saying that they can't do a strike, but they have to do something about Iran at the same time.
All right, Elizabeth, I've got that. One more factor. Joe Cirincione coming up.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know, you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
How about it? 33 minutes after the hour, it is The Bill Press Show. Here we go. We are coming to you live from our nation's capital. That happens to be Washington, D.C., in case you didn't know. We're right here on Capitol Hill, just down the street from the United States Capitol building. And we are booming out to you live from this studio on your local progressive talk radio station all across this great United States of America. We are also booming out to you live for the first time today, and very proud to do so, on Free Speech TV. Those of you who want to watch a radio show on television can do so on Free Speech TV, either on DirecTV or the Dish Network. And you can also watch the live stream on your computer if that's more convenient for you. Just go to youtube.com/TawkrTV. Sorry, it's the first day, so I got to get this straight. youtube.com/Tawker, and Tawker is spelled TAWKRTV.
youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's
right
where you can find it.
youtube.com/Tawker. Did I say that? Okay, good enough. So there's no excuse for not listening or watching, right? And I'll tell you, when you want foreign policy, you want to know the facts, the evidence, what to do about any foreign policy issue or anything to do with the spread of nuclear weapons or nuclear proliferation. Joe Cirincione is the guy. He's the head of the Plowshares Fund, and he is here looking like $1 million in studio with us this morning. Hey, Joe, how are you?
I'm just great, thank you. I was down in Bethany Beach last
Beach,
week.
Delaware, right.
Yes, and I met Mike at an antique store, and I told him I was going to be on your show, and he was very impressed. He says he searches for you, he listens to you. He's one of the few people he can believe on radio or TV.
That's only because Bill owes him money from the last time that he was down there.
It could be.
I mean, that's why he looked for him so much.
No, man, you got a reputation down in Bethany Beach. You got fans.
That's where I peddle all my my antiques. No, but I mean that's my stomping territory.
Yeah, and I went to the restaurant you recommended.
Did you?
Just Hooked.
Isn't that great?
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Good for
Thank you. I owe you.
You know who I sent there last week? Pat Buchanan.
Oh, right.
Pat called
Your
me.
old
He
buddy.
and Shelley were down at the beach,
Yeah.
just between Bethany and Fenwick.
Yeah.
And I told him to go to Just Talk. So
Don't send Joe and Pat there at the same time.
No, I didn't. Yeah.
Although you guys have a lot to talk
No, I've been. Remember when you were doing was it Crossfire?
Yeah,
You and
Pat
Pat.
and I.
Yeah,
Right.
I was on the show during the Iraq War.
Right.
During
No,
the
that
Iraq
was
War.
later. That was when we were on MSNBC
Oh.
with Buchanan and Press.
That's right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
right. Anyhow, oh my God, Bethany Beach, I'm jealous. So, Joe, the last time you were here, we talked about Syria, and you had said that you had come to the position of agreeing with me that some military strike was necessary.
Yes.
Are you still of that opinion?
Well, this is such a close call. For many people, this is like 55-45, and I've had 2 or 3 positions on this since it began. But yes, I still think a military strike is necessary. I do also think it's going to be very, very difficult for President Obama to convince the Congress to authorize it.
What's he have to say tomorrow night?
He's got to go right to the American people. He has to move the needle on public opinion, which is very, very hard to do. He's got to make the case with all the intelligence he can muster. He's got to lay the intelligence out there that there's no doubt the attack happened. There's no doubt that Assad did it, and that this justifies going to war, that this justifies a military attack. Even if it's cruise missiles and it's not soldiers on the ground, if it's cruise missiles, it's still an act of war against another country, and he needs congressional authority to go do that.
Right. Well, I totally agree. I mean, I think it was not only the right thing, morally right thing to do to go to Congress, but legally the right thing to do. I mean, the War Powers Act and the Constitution are pretty clear, if you ask me, that only Congress can authorize this. You said something very significant. I think we've had many senators and members of Congress on, some who support the strike, some who don't. But every one of them said they believe chemical weapons were used, no doubt about it, and the Syrian government was responsible, no doubt about it.
Right.
I watched the videos last night. There are 13 videos up. If you go to Senate Intelligence Committee and just Google it or Bing it, Dianne Feinstein posted those.
Up.
You watch those videos. If you ever had any doubt what happened, watch those videos. And when I see those little kids there in convulsions, suffering from the effects of these chemical weapons.
And that's the most compelling case. This is a horrendous act.
How can you say, oh, so what?
Yeah. Right. And people then say, well, it's not our problem. Why do we have to step in? And the reason is we're the United States of America. This is what we do. We don't stand by and let people do this kind of thing, even if we don't have anyone else with us.
Well, I want to go through some of this.
Yeah.
So the evidence, I think, is clear. And by the way, other than those idiots like John Bolton and Donald Rumsfeld, who are only against this because Obama is for it.
Yes.
If we put those idiots aside, then I think I'd have to say there are legitimate reasons for supporting the strike. There are legitimate reasons for opposing the strike, too. I want to go through some of those reasons with you, right? Because I hear them. We hear them all the time from our listeners. One is, why don't we go through the United Nations?
Yeah. Well,
let's just go through them one at a time. And
we should be clear about this.
Yeah.
Whatever you think domestically, internationally, there is no right to do this. There is no mandate to do this. It's illegal to attack another country unless it's sanctioned by the UN Security Council. So the normal route would be to go there, except Russia is blocking it. Russia has a veto on the UN Security Council, so they will without a doubt block any military action. They blocked a press release that the UN Security Council wanted to do, simply condemning any chemical attacks. They blocked a number of instances in the past. UN Ambassador Samantha Power has been very clear on this. So the U.S. can't go through the Security Council at this point. In her words, it's broken.
Right. Okay. Another argument is, well, they've killed 100,000 people in the Civil War with conventional weapons.
Yeah.
So 1,400 are killed by chemical weapons. So what's the difference?
Chemical weapons and biological and nuclear weapons are a category apart from regular conventional weapons. All of these weapons have the ability to kill on a mass scale. So yes, it's horrible to die in many, many different ways. Chemical weapons are particularly abhorrent in the way they kill people, and the mass potential they have to kill thousands, tens of thousands. That's why the international community has banned them since 1925, has gotten rid of them since 1993 with the Chemical Weapons Convention, and why they've only been used very, very infrequently. You can't let people cross that line.
So another argument. Well, we've done so-called surgical strikes in the past against Kosovo, against Belgrade, actually, and against Baghdad. And they haven't worked. They haven't deterred bad behavior. So why will it work this time?
Well, that is actually the best argument. No, really.
Yeah,
this is why it's close. This is why there's nothing easy about this.
No.
Is this an answer? I mean, that's is there a military solution to this? And the fact is there isn't. The strikes can degrade Assad's capability, but they can't guarantee an end to the chemical attacks or topple his regime or even end the slaughter. So it's quite possible that there will be retaliation for this. And this is why people are hesitant, that it could then spiral into something much larger.
Right. So that's the next argument is that we don't know if we do this, we don't know what he will do. Yeah. Well, first of all, you never know what somebody's going to do, or you never know the response to any particular action. But what's the best argument answer to that? That the possibility of a retaliatory strike by Assad?
There is no really good answer to that, frankly. I mean, I think the chances are pretty high that he would. I don't think he's going to strike Israel, but if he unleashes, if his Hezbollah allies who are fighting with him in Syria, if they decide to retaliate, they have global capability. They could strike at American targets of their choosing. It doesn't have to be a military or diplomatic target. It could be a Kentucky Fried Chicken in Bangkok. You know, they have that kind of reach. So I would expect there to be hits on American targets by Hezbollah.
One argument that I've heard against that is that at least three times since the beginning of the Civil War, Israel has struck military targets inside of Syria.
Yeah.
Bashar al-Assad has done absolutely nothing.
That's right, including knocking out his nuclear reactor.
Right.
He was building with the North Koreans. Yes, but these were limited strikes, didn't strike at the core of the regime. We're going... Another he's in a life and death struggle.
He might respond or he might not.
Yeah,
right?
He might. So that you're saying, well, I'm ready to take it. He might respond, and I'm ready to take it.
So there's a risk for acting. There's also a risk for not acting.
And that's exactly right. You don't act, chances are he's going to do this again. And chances are that others, and this is a legitimate argument, that others will say, well, we can get away with this. And I know this, I hate this slippery slope here. This is all about American resolve and credibility. But there is that element here. If we don't act here, we're going to lose standing around the world. It's going to be much tougher for us in all the other conflicts that we have.
You see, this is just a little foretaste of the debate we're going to see in Congress this week with all of these issues. Joe Cirincione here from the Plowshares Fund. It's Ploughshares, Plough, Ploughshares.org. We're here to get your comments, your questions, your suggestions, your outrage. 866-55-PRESS on the Bill Press Show.
Go mobile with Bill Press. Download podcasts at BillPressShow.com and listen anytime, anywhere. This is The Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look! Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen. petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know, you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 13 minutes now before the top of the hour. In studio with us, Joe Cirincione, president of the great Plowshares Fund. We are talking Syria. Looking forward to your comments and your calls as well. Joe, a lot of ground to cover here. I want to go back to where we started on the public opinion polls.
Yes.
CNN latest poll showed this morning that 6 out of 10 Americans say we should not launch a military strike against Syria. I'm surprised that's not higher, to tell the truth. Is a public opinion poll the way to conduct foreign policy?
Well, no, but we live in a democracy. And, you know, we supposedly make the policy, and members of Congress are elected to do what their
If you had a public opinion poll before we went to World War II, we never would have gone into World War II.
We never would have gone.
It was
That's
probably
absolutely right.
90-10 then.
Yeah.
Against.
A very similar syndrome, where people had looked back on the last war and said that was a mistake. We never should have gone in. We were duped. It wasn't about making the world safe for democracy.
We've had enough European wars. Let's not.
Keep us out of there, right?
Yeah.
We never would have gone.
I just think people have to factor that in. So there's a debate this week. The president has said, okay, you want a debate? You got it, baby. It's in your lap. Some members of Congress probably wish they hadn't asked for that now. But what if Congress says no? What are the president's options?
Well, he can go anyway.
Would he?
No, I don't think so. I mean, first of all, he deeply believes in the Constitution, and he's talked about this repeatedly, that the president doesn't have the authority to do it. You hear him hedging his bet a bit now, but I think both constitutionally and politically, it would cut against everything he stands for him to strike.
So are there other options to military strike?
There are other options. You know, you hear the administration say, well, we've exhausted all other options. That's not really true. There is a lot more you could be doing diplomatically, economically. You could be rallying the international community to toughen up the sanctions around Syria. You could be launching a major diplomatic initiative. In fact, whether we go and strike or not, this is really the next step. Everybody agrees there's no military solution to this. There's only a political solution. And to do that, you need the cooperation of all the states in the region, including Russia and Iran.
What we hear more and more, final question before we go to calls here, is we hear not just Syria, but that this is about Syria and Iran.
And this is the thing that gives me the biggest pause. For a lot of people who are back in this strike, it's all about Iran. This is what they wanted to do ever since Iraq. They want to just roll on. This is mainly the neoconservatives. You see them arguing that the military is our answer to all our foreign policy problems, and that what we have to do is overthrow Assad and then go on to overthrow the mullahs in Tehran. This is a very dangerous current in American national security thinking. And it's one of the things that give me the biggest pause. If all these neocons are in favor of going to attacking Syria, is that really the right thing to do?
But the Obama administration seems to be using Iran too in the argument that this is the message to those in Iran who are want to develop all the way their nuclear capacity. Is if we do nothing against Assad, then they will feel they've got a green light as well.
I actually think that is their weakest argument. They're doing it politically. They want to get AIPAC and other groups lobbying on their behalf. But I think actually not taking action against Syria could strengthen our hand with Iran, could eliminate the fears that Tehran has that this is all about us trying to change their regime. It's not really about the nuclear program. Whatever you do, you have to understand that you're going to need Iran in the end game, both to solve Syria and for our greater strategic objectives in the region, which is to end Iran's nuclear program. So keep that diplomatic endgame in mind while you're considering your military options.
Catherine is joining us from out in Madison, Wisconsin on 92.1 The Mic. Hey, Catherine.
Yes, good morning. I have a few points. Well, first of all, this is the beginning of the water wars. Half of what's going on there is that he started diverting the water from the farmlands to the cities and the suburbs because of the droughts that are happening. Once we get in there, and there's a half a dozen articles from scientists online, you can just Google it.
Are you talking about Syria now?
Yes, Syria.
But Bashar al-Assad has done this?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Articles, you can Google it, that scientists have done. So, and you follow the protests. It follows the drought as it went closer and closer to the suburbs. Secondly, maybe we need to lose standing as an empire or policeman, and maybe that'll leave us able to take care of our infrastructure, which is crumbling like Rome, and we'll be able to protect the homeland. Third, we've used chemical weapons. We used it in Vietnam. Israel has used phosphorus. That's a bunch of bull.
Well, 1, 2, 3. All right, thanks, Catherine, for the call. You know, this idea, we did use Agent Orange in Vietnam. I mean, there's no doubt about it, right?
Yes.
Shame on us, right? So
yeah,
that means we tolerate the use of chemical weapons by anybody else for the rest of time.
And the British and Germans used them in World War II. Yes, these are horrible things, and we've moved away from them. One of the great, validations that history is actually a progression
most of ours.
Is that countries have given these things up. We've decided they're abhorrent. No civilized nation should ever use them. We don't have them anymore. We built 30,000 tons of these things during the Cold War. We're destroying them. The Russians are destroying their 40,000 tons. We are moving on from this. So these are really terrible weapons, and we have to uphold the ban against them. But her other 2 points, actually, there's some truth to that. Mm-hmm. A lot of what's going on in the Middle East, and you might say South Asia as well, is resource wars over water in particular. Right. So there is a conflict there. I don't think that's the main motivation, but it is a factor. And maybe we should be doing less in the world. It's an excellent point. We're overcommitted.
All right, quick question, and I think the most important question of all. Is this Congress that hasn't done anything about so many issues capable of having an informed debate on this issue?
Yes, and I think they will pleasantly surprise us despite the crazy fringe that will seek the headlines with talk of Benghazi and other nonsense. I don't know how they're going to come out. I think this is one of the great unknowns for the next 2 weeks. But I think you're going to see some very serious people grappling with this.
You think they'll rise to the occasion?
I was on the floor of the House during the 1991 debate over going into Iraq. It's when Congress finds themselves.
I hope you're right. Joe Cirincione, you found yourself this morning, my friend, president of the Ploughshares Fund. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks
so much.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Or you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we go. In the top of the next hour, Ruby Cramer from Buzzfeed will be joining us. So we're going to have to say goodbye, unfortunately, to all of our good friends on Free Speech TV for this next hour. But we will still be there online at TawkrTV. So it's youtube.com/TawkrTV, TAWKR-TV. You can watch us online if you can't watch us on the little screen. And, of course, you can continue to listen and to join the conversation on all of our great progressive talk radio stations. President Obama today gets a daily briefing this morning, and then he will be meeting with Chuck Hagel this afternoon. And you know damn well he'll be spending the rest of his time on the phone with members of Congress.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, what do you say? Good morning. It's Monday, September 9. Great to see you this morning. Hope you had a good weekend and are ready to jump in and tackle the big stories of the day here on the Bill Press Show. Welcome to the program wherever you're joining us here in this great land of ours. This is our morning town hall where we bring you up to date on all the news of the day from our nation's capital, around the country, around the globe, and of course, give you a chance to comment on what it all means to you. You can do so by giving us a call to our toll-free number, 866-55-PRESS. You can join us on Twitter. Send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show. And for all of our many, 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 many thousands of friends on Facebook, go to facebook.com/Bill Press Show. It is the full court press indeed on Syria that remains the number one issue. President Obama joining Vice President Biden and 15 Republican senators at the Vice President's house last night to talk Syria. Today he'll give interviews to all the network news anchors. Tomorrow he'll be meeting here on the Hill with Democratic senators. Tomorrow night, of course, he gives a speech from the White House. In the meantime, he'll be making telephone call after telephone call to Republicans and Democrats lining up support. Congress comes back to town today, and they will begin the debate with the first vote on Syria coming in the Senate on Wednesday. And meanwhile, wouldn't you know it, in the middle of all of this important, serious debate about Syria, Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and Mike Lee have scheduled a big event to discuss what? To discuss whether or not we should repeal Obamacare. Give it up. All of that and more, your comments, your calls, all the news of the day right here on the Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show. broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
President Obama conducting the full court press on Syria from the White House today. He rolls out one of the biggest guns of all, Hillary Clinton. Speaking out at the White House today on Syria. And we're talking about it here on the Bill Press Show. Good morning, everybody. Great to see you this morning. Welcome to our third hour together this morning on the Bill Press Show, coming to you live from our nation's capital. And reaching out to you and embracing you and bringing you into the conversation on your local progressive talk radio station and online on TawkrTV at youtube.com/TawkrTV, TAWKRTV. Great to see you this Monday morning. Hope you had a good weekend. Are ready to jump into the big stories of the day. There's really only one big story, and that is Syria, because Congress comes back today, members of the House, members of the Senate, those who did not make it in last week for those special briefings on Syria will be here today, the full membership, and they will go right into a series of briefings, a phone call from many members of the administration, starting with the president himself, and then get around to debating this issue on the floor. Exercising their constitutional power, only Congress having the authority to declare and to authorize the use of military force. They'll get a chance to debate whether or not they should do so and then vote on that question before the end of the week. Again, great to see you today. You know you can chime in, and we want to hear from you. Particularly on the Syria question, what should Congress do? What should the United States do? At 866-55-PRESS, our toll-free number. Give us your comments on Twitter at The BP Show. Haven't checked those comments in a while. We'll do that here at the top of the hour. And on Facebook at facebook.com/BillPressShow. The team this morning all in place, ready to serve you. Peter Ogburn and Dan Henning. Hello, guys.
Hey.
Good morning.
Yes. Alicia Cruz, she's got the phones covered, waiting to take your calls, and Cyprian Bolding keeping us looking good on the video cam, or at least given what he's got to work with. Everybody, we still haven't given Cyprian the mic. You know?
No. I mean, I
think it'd be dangerous to give him the mic.
Frankly, I'm terrified.
Yeah.
If you hear the type of stuff he says when we're not on the air, I mean, it makes me blush.
Could be embarrassing.
Yeah.
Hey, big day today. As a veteran and former co-host of Crossfire, very excited that Crossfire comes back to the air tonight on CNN at 6:30. I'll be watching the first news show, and tomorrow night a big party here in Washington to celebrate the return of Crossfire.
It's exciting.
Yeah, I had a good 6 years as co-host of Crossfire on the left. Someday I may make the Hall of Fame for that. Well, I don't know about that. But
what a leap! What a segue! Nice work.
But there were new inductees to the NBA Hall of Fame last night, including Gary Patton from Peyton. I'm sorry.
He's a Hall of Famer.
I have a friend in California, Gary Patton from Santa Cruz. Gary Payton, Hall of Famer now from the Supersonics. Very happy to be there.
I don't regret the way I went about it, and I am a strong man today as a result. But I can't help but think I could have given more to the game that gave so much to me. My career is complete. Gary Payton is evolving.
There he is.
But GP is in the Hall of Fame. Thank you.
I love it.
He loves speaking in that third person. And Bernard King,
by the way, they called him the Glove because
really?
he would take. He had so many steals per game. He'd steal the ball. He was so fast.
Yeah.
And he finally won a championship with the Heat.
And Bernard King played on several teams, including Washington Bullets back when they were known as the Bullets, right? He made it last night also. Pleased to be there.
This is amazing. The Hall of Fame. To say I'm delighted To be here would be an understatement.
There you go. Congratulations to them and to their and the other inductees in the Hall of Fame.
He can do radio with a voice like that.
Yeah, I got to tell you.
NBA career.
All right. So Congress steps up to the plate this week. What should they decide? We ask you. 866-55-PRESS. We'll have our own debate here this first half hour. But first...
This is the Full Court Press.
Other headlines making news on this Monday. The NFL season is barely underway, but they've already announced who will perform at the Super Bowl halftime show. It's pop singer Bruno Mars headlining the game in East Rutherford, New Jersey, outside New York City at MetLife Stadium in next February. The multi-Grammy winner follows Beyonce's performance last season, Madonna's in 2012, and the Black Eyed Peas, The Who, and Bruce Springsteen in years before that.
I'm on record as being anti-Bruno Mars for this.
Okay. Well, I was wondering about Springsteen. Why not? The boss, New Jersey. I mean, would that make sense?
That would actually make sense.
If you go out and you asked a lot of people, right, like across all different age ranges, who is Bruno Mars? A lot of them wouldn't know who he is.
That's not... I disagree with that.
I guarantee you. Bill, have you ever heard of Bruno Mars?
No. That's why I raised my hand.
I'm up to speed on a lot of this stuff. I couldn't name 2 of his songs.
When I Was Your Man and Just the Way You Are.
I'm sure you can. I mean, you but like, you know, everybody knows Bruce Springsteen. Everybody knew Prince or Paul McCartney or something.
This has been the shift in recent years that the last 4 or 5 years now have all been current pop artists.
And they had the Black Eyed Peas do it a couple years ago, and it was a disaster.
They've moved away from the classic folks.
Yeah, bring back Billy Crystal.
It was 7 months ago that the International Olympic Committee announced wrestling would be discontinued as an Olympic sport.
Bad move.
Wrestling's governing body appealed and has retooled the sport in recent months and promises to make it more entertaining, taking some cues from mixed martial arts, according to USA Today. Wrestling did beat out baseball, softball, and squash for a spot in the 2020 games in Tokyo, and it will be back in 2016 in Rio
Should never have gone away. Great.
That's wild.
It is. Good move. Probably the first Olympic sport.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's one of the older ones, the Greco-Roman days. And it's the end of an era at Volkswagen. Say goodbye to the VW Bus. That classic camper van, which has been in production for 56 years, is going into history. New ones have not been seen in this country in a while, unless you went down and bought it in Brazil. That is where the last remaining factory is, and they will stop rolling buses off the line there by year's end.
That's really sad. I owned a Bug. I never owned a bus, but I've had a lot of good times in VW buses. They were. Boy, you talk about the hippie wagon.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right, so this is it. Congress had said, hey, Mr. President, you can decide that you're going to use the military in Syria without asking us. That's our job. And the president called their bluff, turned around and said a week ago Friday, all right, you got it. When you get back in town, this is going to be your first order of business. They come back today, and the debate on Syria will begin. The president is really conducting. He's worked, I must say, harder on this issue than I've seen him work on any issue in the last 5 years. He did take found time to play golf over the weekend. But even when he was in St. Petersburg, he was not only rounding up international support, but making calls back here to members of Congress. From Air Force One on the way home, he was making calls to members of Congress. Last night, the vice president had a dinner at his house. He invited some Republican senators over. The president showed up himself just to help make the case. Today, the president's going to he's giving 7 to 10 minutes each to the network news anchors. Gwen Eiffel from PBS and Diane Sawyer from ABC. Savannah Guthrie's going to fill in for Brian Williams because Brian's still recovering from his knee surgery. Scott Pelley, Chris Wallace from Fox News. I might be missing one. But they all get their time with the president today to make his case on Syria. He is coming up to the Hill, just down the street from us, tomorrow to meet with Democratic members of the Senate. Tomorrow night, of course, he'll be giving that address from the White House to the American people. And on Wednesday, the debate will begin in the United States Senate. So this is it. It is a high-stakes poker this week here in the White House. Dennis McDonough, the president's chief of staff, yesterday went on all 5 of the Sunday morning talk shows, and he expressed confidence that in the end, Congress will give the president this authority.
This resolution is going to pass after we work this week, George. Members have been in their districts and in their states. We've been talking to many of them, dozens of them. And when they see this intelligence, they don't rebut it.
And so far as we have heard on this program, everybody we've talked to, every member of the Senate, every member of the House that we have talked to, confirms what Dennis McDonough says, that they accept the evidence they believe, whether they support a military strike or not, that the evidence is clear that there were chemical weapons used in Syria and that the Syrian regime is responsible. The question is, what should, if anything, we do about it? And that's a question we ask you again at 866-55-PRESS. Just a couple of comments before we get to your calls. Number one, I'm skeptical that this Congress can deal with this issue. You may have heard in our last hour, Joe Cirincione from the Plowshares Fund thinks that the Congress will step up to the plate here and prove themselves. But this is a feckless bunch of people in this Congress, or feckless Congress, that has failed to deal with immigration reform, with gun safety. They can't even pass a budget. They can't decide to pay their own bills. They can't even pass a damn farm bill. The idea that they're going to be able to actually have an informed debate and make an intelligent decision about this, I am somewhat skeptical. That having been said, and I hope that they rise to the occasion, this should be a good debate based on the merits and based on the facts of the case. There are legitimate reasons for opposing any military strike, and we've heard a lot of them. That we haven't exhausted diplomatic possibilities, we haven't exhausted economic sanctions, that we don't know what Bashar al-Assad might do in response to a strike, that there would be civilian casualties, that we've tried these kinds of strikes in the past, and they haven't worked. Just some of the arguments we hear against a military strike. At the same time, there are legitimate reasons, and we've heard the president and John Kerry put them out there, why there has to be some response to Bashar al-Assad's use, the second time that we know of chemical weapons against his own people, something that has been banned by the international community since 1993 and condemned by the international community since 1925. And that if we don't act, and we know the United Nations would never act with Russia's veto, that if we don't do something to uphold the ban on chemical weapons, that Bashar al-Assad and other dictators like him will just be encouraged to use them again and again and again. So you got 2 good cases here, I think, that can be made for and against a military strike. That's what I hope the issue will be based on and the debate will be based on, not on, is this going to make Obama look weak or is this going to make Obama look strong? I mean, Republicans should not oppose it because they want Obama to look weak. Democrats should not support it because they want Obama to look strong. This is much too important a decision to have this based on partisan politics. Your comments, 866-55-PRESS on the phone. Peter, we'll get to social media here when we come right back. Yep. But let's start with the phone on Robbie. Robbie's calling from Bronson, Florida. Hey, Robbie, what do you say? Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. Robbie, you know what? Your cell phone just crapped out on us here. See if we can get a better connection. Love to hear from you. Give us a call back. Let's go to Rockford, Illinois, listening on the great WCPT. Hey, Rick, good morning.
Good morning. I think the question should be asked is, why do we think that they would attack us with chemical weapons? I mean, we're not being threatened. I mean, I realize that... No, it's not that they would attack us. It's just that they would use them against another country or against, in this case, against their own population. But I mean, they have Islamic militants killing Christians all over these places in Egypt and Syria. Christians are being slaughtered like hunting rabbits, and nobody's doing anything about that. I mean, it just seems like there's What outrage?
Well, I think we did do something in Egypt. I think we did something in Libya. I don't know whether you were around. I mean, we certainly did in both of those cases, Rick.
Checked in news reporters. I mean, what are we doing? Why do we need to be the world's police department? I mean, either go in and make the world a better place for everybody, or don't. I mean, it seems we're picking and choosing what we're doing, and I just don't understand why.
Well, Rick, it sounds to me like you want it both ways. You want to be the world's a superpower and not do anything about it. The use of chemical. We signed a convention with 188 other nations that said we will not tolerate the production or use of chemical weapons. This guy has used them twice. He just killed 1,400 people, including 400 children. So do we enforce this convention or do we not? Or do we just let him get away with it? That's the question.
This is the Bill Press Show. Get social with Bill Press. Like us at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we go at 26 minutes after the hour to the social media before we get to calls.
Yes,
Joe?
indeed.
Joe, hello. Peter.
Joe and I were wearing the same suit earlier, so I know that you could confuse the two of us. No, but we are taking your comments on Twitter at BP Show, Please go follow us there. We're tweeting all throughout the day, and we interact with you during the show there, so it's a great place to find us and stay in touch with us. Jim says that's a sad observation that Obama has never worked harder on anything than the Syrian issue. Vanilla the Hun says, too bad he didn't work this hard to prevent the sequester cuts that hurt Americans, seniors, and children. And Sean says...
By the way, I don't want to blame President Obama on the sequester. Let's blame the damn Republicans on the sequester. I mean, come on. Obama gets blamed for enough. The sequester, he fought that tooth and nail.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So let's just deal with the facts here.
And one quick comment from Sean Pierce says, I wouldn't say that the president's fighting harder on this. He's putting in the hours, but not the passion.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen President Obama put as much effort into anything either, which is a sad comment, but that's the way it is. That doesn't make it right or wrong. Right. This is the way it is. Valerie's out in Chicago on WCPT. Hello, Valerie.
Hi. First of all, I would say I do think President Obama has worked just as hard on many other issues.
Okay.
It's just that we care about war for some reason in this country more than anything else. The other thing is I do think we have to go, as much as I hate war, as much as I was against everything, because we set ourselves up as the greatest power in the world, and people like to talk about us, oh, we're the greatest power in the world. We can't then just duck out on a responsibility that goes along with that. And I think it's very important that we do that. If we took Iraq out of the Iraq and Afghanistan out of the situation, I don't think we'd even be having the debate.
Yeah, Valerie, I agree with your points at all. You know, you can't brag about we're the greatest country on earth and the most powerful country on earth and then not exercise your responsibility. And you get there reluctantly, so do I, and so does President Obama.
This is the Bill Press Show. Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we go. It is the Bill Press Show on Monday, September 9. We are going to just step aside from Syria just a little bit here. Your call is still welcome on Syria at 866-55-PRESS. It is the one big issue of the day, and Congress will be jumping right into it as the members of Congress work their way back to Washington today. It is not the only issue of the day. Tomorrow, there is still going to be a primary in the mayor's race in New York on the Democratic side and on the Republican side. And things got a little hot and heavy over the weekend. Ruby Cramer has been covering this race, and we've talked to her before. She's with Buzzfeed, political reporter for Buzzfeed. Joining us on our newsline this morning, Ruby, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
So we haven't heard from Michael Bloomberg. He hasn't endorsed anybody in this race, but he struck out over the weekend against Bill de Blasio, the front runner. Tell us about it.
Right. He's, like you said, he stayed pretty silent on this, even though people tend to think that he is a supporter of Gerstein, who is Speaker of the City Council. But so over the weekend, this article in New York Magazine comes out, and the interviewer, Chris Smith, asks if Bloomberg thinks that de Blasio has run a, quote, class warfare campaign. And Bloomberg cuts him off and goes, yeah, class warfare and racist. And the interviewer is like, come again? And, then Bloomberg kind of tries to backtrack a little bit. He goes, well, he's been using his family a lot to gain support. And Bill de Blasio is married to a black woman.
Yeah.
And has two kids of color. And they appear on the campaign trail with him often. His son, Dante, who's 16 years old and has this, amazing big afro, did this TV ad for de Blasio's campaign that was really effective and really successful, and one of kind of the most talked about, probably the most talked about ad of the entire campaign season.
Mm-hmm.
So that not hard to imagine why those comments were not received well from pretty much any corner of the race. A lot of the candidates came out and condemned them, and Bill de Blasio, said after the article was published that they were really inappropriate. And so, no one's really happy about it.
What was Bloomberg thinking, right? I mean, first of all, he's hardly the first candidate who has appeared with his family. I mean, how many times did we see Mitt Romney's 5 sons, right?
I know.
And all of the grandchildren. How about John Huntsman's 3 daughters? I mean, right? You can go on and on and on, right? Chelsea Clinton.
Shouldn't we be happy that this candidate has a family that wants to support him? I mean, it's not like these people. I mean, this is what Bill de Blasio said later that day. He was like, my family members make their own decisions. They participate in the campaign on their own terms. And actually, his daughter, who's 18, said to reporters, she was like, we make our own decisions. And my dad, 20 years ago, when he got married, did not seek out a black woman. Specifically,
right.
Come on, people.
Right. He didn't go around saying, "Here's it. I'm going to run for mayor someday, so I'm going to marry a black woman, right? So I can be different.
Yeah, they're pretty.
And then I'll have a black woman, and then I'll have some mixed color kids, and boy, this is going to be a great campaign 20 years from now.
It's an unlikely story. She used to be a lesbian. Yeah, and no one ever saw them getting together, I would imagine.
Yeah, and by the way, when they got married, I mean, even today, interracial couples are not well received in a lot of quarters, right? It was even tougher 20 years ago.
Yeah. 20 years ago,
right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So de Blasio has, I guess one of the reasons that Bloomberg is striking out against him, right, is because de Blasio, certainly he's still the front runner, correct? Isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Wide margin. I don't know if he'll avoid a runoff completely. I don't know if he'll clear 40%, but he's definitely in a good position too.
And so Bloomberg, people think, again, as you pointed out, secretly supporting Gerstein because she's the one who made it possible for him to get the 3rd term.
Which is something that de Blasio has campaigned on this entire time, right? De Blasio is the anti-Bloomberg candidate. His campaign tagline is "Tale of Two Cities" because he says that Michael Bloomberg has made it so that there's a rich New York City and there's a New York City for the poor, and there isn't anything in between. And so, I mean, this is DeBlasio and Bloomberg have a kind of bitter relationship.
Well, if there's anybody, I'd like to ask anybody who has been to New York City. I don't know how anybody who's been to New York City could deny that there are two New Yorks. Maybe there are more than two New Yorks, but certainly the Upper East Side of New York is not like the rest of New York, right? In terms of
yeah, I mean it's true. I mean you walk on 95th Street, and then you're on the Upper East Side, and you walk up one block to 96th Street, and you're not on the Upper East Side anymore. So I mean it's DeBlasio's message has resonated with people. I mean, that's, we wouldn't see him this far ahead in a primary contest, this competitive, so something's working about what he's doing.
Is it generally conceived that, or believed that whoever wins the Democratic primary tomorrow, or if there is a runoff, whoever wins the runoff will be the next mayor of New York?
I think at one point it was. I mean, the kind of focus from the press and political class, so to speak, has definitely been on the Democratic race. But at the same time, we haven't had a Democratic mayor in New York City for like 20 years. And also, Joe Lhota, who will probably win the primary on the Republican side tomorrow, is a really credible candidate. He's like really serious as an operation. I think he's going to be a serious contender up against anyone. So, and it's not like can you imagine a Bill de Blasio race versus a Joe Lhota race? Like this, like one of the most progressive guys in the world versus Joe Lhota, someone who's, endorsed by Rudy. Mm-hmm. It would be a serious race. Like there's Republicans have elected mayors to the city for a long time now.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. That because you're the first person I've heard who's said that whoever wins the Republican primary might have a choice. What is Lhota's background? Is he in office now?
He was the head of the MTA, so of the public transit system, and he's just kind of like this. He had some experience, kind of working as a political on the other side of politics as an aide. He is kind of a businessman. He worked in banking for a while, and then he worked for the Giuliani administration. So he's got a kind of range of experience. But his big thing is that he was chairman of the MTA.
Now, I have to ask you finally about the mayor's race before we get into anything else. On the mayor's race, is this the end of the road for Anthony Weiner?
I think it is. I almost want to go to cover his election night campaign tomorrow and write the story like the end of Anthony Weiner, because it's just, I think it is. I mean, he was on the Today Show this morning, and
he was on Meet the Press yesterday.
Yeah, he was on Meet the Press. What are they doing? Why are they booking him? I mean, on the
That was the
Today
reaction
Show
I saw most on Twitter. It was like, why is Meet the Press giving Anthony Weiner time 2 days before the primary?
Yeah. Why didn't they put the front runners on, right? I mean...
Right.
Yeah. If Weiner's not last in the polls, the last I saw, he's next to last. And same thing with the Today Show this morning. They're just trying to keep the scandal alive.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's definitely what's happening. It's kind of sad. So it's hard to watch at this point. It's just like,
Oh, right. All right. Now, tell us about the controller's race. Eliot Spitzer and Matt Springer? Is that his name?
Scott Stringer. Yeah. It's really close. I'm really I'm surprised, I guess, looking back on it. When Spitzer got in, he immediately shot to the top of the polls by like
15
20
points ahead. Right, yeah.
And everyone was like, oh, this is going to be, this is like a shoo-in for him. I mean, I don't know. People weren't saying that, but it's gotten really, really close. One poll will come out one day and Stringer will be out on top. And within that, next day, Spitzer will be on top. So I don't know what's going to happen in that race. I mean, I was just looking over their schedules for today. They're both all over the place. I mean, I think it's going to be really close.
Yeah. Has there been a lot of advertising in that race?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Spitzer has far outspent his opponent
Mm-hmm.
because he's self-financing his campaign.
Right.
So he's got his old ad guy, who was making these amazing ads for him when he was running for AG and governor. He's got, making these like really nice glossy ads for the controller race and Stringer. That's hard for Stringer to keep up with, I think, because he's not self-financing. But yeah, there's been a lot of media for this race.
Well, I got to tell you, from an entertainment value alone, it's been worth it. This mayor's race in New York, Ruby. And thank you for doing such a good job covering it and for sharing your reporting with us here on the Bill Press Show. Thanks, Ruby.
Thanks a lot.
All right. It's BuzzFeed.com. Great, do great work on a whole range of issues, including politics. And we'll be back and get back into Syria with your comments as to where we ought to go in this debate this week in Congress.
This is the Bill Press Show. Like politics? Then like The Bill Press Show on Facebook. This is The Bill Press Show.
13 minutes before the top of the hour, back to your calls about Syria. This is The Bill Press Show, brought to you by LifeLock Ultimate. Yeah, here's a story I caught my eye about. Identity theft out in Kansas. At least in this one, the good guys won. Kansas deputies found mail, checks, credit cards, and Social Security cards belonging to 150 people during a recent raid of a house out there in Kansas. Most of those documents had been taken from mailboxes or vehicles, but you can see how easy it is for these identity thieves. You've got to be protected against it, as I am with LifeLock Ultimate, the most comprehensive ID theft protection available today. Even monitors your bank accounts, but of course LifeLock can't protect you or your bank account if you're not a member. So visit lifelock.com or give them a call. I mentioned press 10. You'll get 10% off your LifeLock Ultimate membership. Number to call, 1-800-356-5967. That's 1-800-356-5967 for LifeLock Ultimate. Mention press 10 at 1-800-356-5967. Here we go, coming to you live again on your local progressive talk radio station and booming out to you live on TawkrTV at youtube.com/TawkrTV. Tawker, spell it right, Tawkr TV. On Syria, Congress coming back, facing the challenge today, the most important decision any Congress can ever make, whether or not to authorize the use of military force. President Obama is requesting that use to retaliate against Syria, of course, for its use of chemical weapons. Peter, on the social media, before we go to the phones here.
Yes, indeed. You can find us on Twitter at BP Show, at BP Show. Irish Boy is there, says President Obama is not going to Congress on Syria for public's input. They don't have to vote as constituents want. It's just political. It makes a reference to a lot of the town halls that a lot of these congressmen and women have been having where the public have shown up and sort of let them hear it.
Yeah. By the way, I'm sort of a renegade on that, although I think I'm right on that, which is the job of Congress is not always to vote the way the public opinion polls read. That's not what a democracy is all about. Democracy is we elect our representatives, and then we trust them to make the best and the informed decisions. If we had a poll on every issue, and if we followed that poll on every issue, it's like going to the least common denominator. I mentioned earlier with Joe Cirincione, if you had taken a poll about World War II, the nation was so war weary after World War I, the American people were against any involvement in World War II, probably 95%. It took Pearl Harbor, of course, to turn that around, and it took President Roosevelt and Eleanor Roosevelt years of making the case. So sometimes the job of Congress is to, if you will, defy public opinion and do the right thing. Or put it this way, sometimes the job of Congress is just to lead and not to follow. That's why we used to call them leaders. Will is calling from DeForest, Wisconsin, listening on 92.1 the mic. Hey, Will, how you doing?
Yeah, Bill, good. Thank you for taking my call.
I'm glad you're there.
Caller.
Yeah.
I'm a two-term Vietnam vet, and I'm totally opposed to the United States intervening in Syria.
Because?
And well, number one, they talk about the banned weapons of credibility and UN resolution. This country has not been a fair player in that region. There have been banned weapons used by both the U.S. and Israel in that same region. The veto of Russia that they talk about, that Russia won't approve of this. The U.S. hasn't backed up one resolution that the UN took against Israel. But a more important point goes to what you just said about Congress' job. It would be great if Congress was not a Congress that was controlled and ruled by the defense industry and contractors. So they vote what's in their best interest and not the best interest of the people. In Vietnam, I saw white phosphorus used on people there. And to me, that's one of the worst deaths you can die is from that, because there's no way of stopping it once you get it on you unless you stop the oxygen from flowing to keep it burning.
Okay, I got it, Will. We use Agent Orange in Vietnam, too. To me, that is not an argument for letting Bashar al-Assad get away with gassing his people. Mark in San Francisco on AM 960 out there. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Hi, good morning, Bill. You know, I have some serious questions. I absolutely agree with you, last caller. My serious questions are these. What happened in Libya when chemical weapons managed to disappear? Was the CIA involved in that? We had a limited action there, and we botched the chemical weapons there.
What chemical weapons in Libya?
Their chemical weapons were known to have disappeared, even though we took out the leader there. Bill Clinton...
Wait. Come on. I mean, you know, look, I welcome a great debate on this issue, but let's deal with the facts. I mean, people have been throwing so much crap around here this morning. I can't freaking believe it. I mean, come on. Yeah, people make this crap up. You know what? Again, whatever Congress decides, that's it, okay? I'll live with whatever decision. But let's not throw all this crap out there. Let's deal with the facts of the case and then make a decision based on that, on the facts and the merits of the case. Oh, man. And I'll come back with a parting shot for today.
This is the Bill Press Show. The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, now you know me. I am a liberal, but I try to keep an open mind on most issues. on most issues, but not this one. There is no way on God's good earth that blind people should be given a permit to carry a gun. But that's what they're doing out in Iowa, believe it or not, because officials say that denying a person a permit because they're blind would be against the Americans with Disabilities Act, which is nonsense. Look, yeah, you could teach a blind person to fire a gun. That's not hard. Just point it away from you and pull the trigger. But how about not being able to see what's in front of you? I mean, this is not, to me, so much an issue of gun safety as it is of just plain common sense. I would hope that even the NRA would agree, although I doubt it, that if you can't see well enough to drive a car and get a driver's license, you should not be able to get a permit to carry a gun. That's my parting shot for today, folks. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you right back here again tomorrow. Have a good one.
This is the Bill Press Show.